Hello and welcome back to the Skipper Street Podcast, episode 232, brought to you as always by Chinook Seedery. If you are having sunflower seed cravings, go hit up Chinook and use the discount code The Skipper's View to get 10% off your sunflower seed needs. Hagen, how we doing?
Last night I would have felt a lot different. But wake up to get some good news for the Mets this morning. So I'm feeling really good right now.
So anyone who's tuning in watching, even though contrary to his background and the hat, Hagen's a Mets fan, everyone. So we'll get to Bichette and that news in a second here. But we got to start off with, obviously, the Dodgers and the big Kyle Tucker move. So that was wild. For those who don't know, we had this Kyle Tucker bomb drop on us from Jeff Passan last night. And then it felt like it was a minute later, there was a massive 3-team trade as well that had nothing to do with the Dodgers or the Mets, for that matter. And it was with the Rays, the Angels, and the Reds. And it's like, oh my God, it was too much. And we were going to go last night. We had technical issues. We decided to go now. A little Friday fun for anyone peeling out of work a little bit early. I guess it's 5:18. It's past early on a Friday. So let's jump into it. Dodgers, dude. We knew this offseason they were going to get Kyle Tucker, and it felt like a joke. It felt like the understood industry joke that Kyle Tucker would somehow end up on the Dodgers. And now, Friday, January 16th, 2026, Kyle Tucker's a freaking Dodger. Their lineup looks disgusting. And the only good thing I'd say for anyone who's a Dodger hater is at least if you look at it, on their bats right now, their best, in-house players, Will Smith. Everyone else has been brought in through an acquisition. But the Dodgers are right now operating at a unprecedented level. And they're getting whoever they want. It seems like they have an endless pool of cash. And they strike the iron while it's hot and add Kyle Tucker because no one else can get him on a long-term deal. And everyone had the option to go sign him for long-term. And he decided to go with a 4-year, $240 million deal, $60 million AAV. Hagen, where are you at with this? I'm still emotionally distraught about this move.
From the Mets perspective, I was a little pissed off that they couldn't get him, especially when the Mets offered him $55 million a year, which is already insane. And that's a great offer. I don't know how you can turn it down. And then the Dodgers last second jump in and say, we'll give you $60 million a year. So I think for obviously the big takeaway just recently on social media and people's thoughts has been all right, this is Dodgers ruining baseball. He's doing all this. But the way I put it is, if he went to the Mets on this deal, no one would have cared. Everyone just would have said the Mets would have overpaid him. No one would have made anything about baseball. This is just, it's not about Dodgers ruining baseball in this sense. It's more the fact of, look at what they've built. And when you get a comparable offer of the Mets to the Dodgers, even as a Mets fan, I can't blame anyone for wanting to go play for the Dodgers over my team right now. The Mets are kind of a joke every once in a while. I mean, they were supposed to be one of the best teams in baseball last year, and they missed the playoffs. They were one of the worst teams the last few months of the season. How could you not want to go to the Dodgers there? I mean, the Dodgers had 2 clear holes last year. It was a closer and a corner outfielder. I didn't think they were going to go out there and spend the money on Kyle Tucker. I thought they were going to do a Conforto type deal where just give me a 1-year, a guy who can be a league average hitter at that best. But they go out there and they fill their only 2 holes they had with adding the best closer available in the market, probably the second or third best closer in baseball, and Kyle Tucker, one of the best free agents we've seen in recent memory. So, I mean, the Dodgers, like the title says, they're inevitable. We shouldn't be surprised. I believe I said the Dodgers were going to sign Kyle Tucker at our first offseason episode. It was either that or Toronto. But you can't blame them because I think it's the Dodgers aren't ruining baseball. The Mets offered him an insane deal too. He had the long-term deal with Toronto. Obviously, we don't know specifics of that at all, so it's kind of hard to judge that if we don't know the numbers on that. But it's not like this is, okay, yeah, the Dodgers ruining baseball, I know this. I mean, he had great offers on the table. If he moved on to the Mets or the Blue Jays, no one would have batted. No one would have said a word about it.
Yeah, and I can't get mad at the Dodgers. They're playing the game, right? That they're playing within the rules of what they're allowed to do. It's not like, Max Kepler's cheating more than the Dodgers right now. Come on. The Dodgers are just, they have which I think is the smart way to go about ownership, with at least in baseball. We got to figure out getting direct, singular billionaires as majority owners, except for the teams that are willing to put up. So Steve Cohen, he's clearly willing to spend. And we'll talk about their acquisition earlier. They just spent $124 million on a shortstop for the next 3 years. But there's some owners here that are, I don't know if every single one's a billionaire, but we need to get investment groups together because these guys in LA, they're making decisions together. They're pooling their money, making decisions together, and they're operating, like I said earlier, at a level unprecedented. And it just seems like in baseball right now, without a salary cap, and we're not going to go big into labor negotiations now. I save that for later if we actually do dive into that today, if we have enough time. But they're operating within the rules. The Yankees, I can't get mad as a Yankee fan. If you look at like the Yankee '09 team, you had Teixeira, you had guys like A-Rod, Damon. You just look at it, CC Sabathia. They're all guys that were not homegrown. They brought them in through acquisition, and it was a good roster. It was the last time they won a World Series. Like they were trying to compete. They did. Kyle Tucker to Los Angeles is a dagger to heart, though. I really did not think, I don't know why, I did not think he was going to go. I did not think the Dodgers were going to be able to pull this off. And yet again, they just stood quietly and they were like, okay, everyone's going to offer, he's looking for this. We're going to slide in and give him a couple opt-outs and make our lineup, again, arguably the best offense in baseball right now. I think it has to be. Do you have a lineup that you'd like better than Los Angeles's right now with Freeman, Smith, Ohtani, and Tucker? Betts?
No.
Like, Betts is the fifth option on that. Like, after last season, where I'll give Mookie Betts, he was sick before the season started, lost a bunch of weight, never got to, being full Mookie Betts. But Mookie Betts right now is like the fifth option offensively on that team right now, which is insane to say. He's a future Hall of Famer.
I mean, it's insane what they're doing right now. We had someone in the chat even bring up the point that Kyle Tucker's getting $60 million a year. The Miami Marlins payroll right now is $69 million. Like, that just puts in how insane this is on how much money Kyle Tucker is making, and the Dodgers can afford this. And just two other quick notes on the Dodgers real quick is, like you're saying, we're not going to dive into all the CBA type thing here, but you got to factor in the Dodgers literally just have an insane advantage with Shohei Ohtani alone. The money he's bringing from Japan, like that was a business decision bringing him in there. That brings a great opportunity to the team to be able to do that. The revenue from TV rights over there in Japan, like I believe they said more people in Japan watched more baseball than people in America. Like, so imagine if you took all the media deals in America and then took Japan and added that onto the Dodgers. Like, and there's obviously teams now that have media uncertainty right now. There's teams that have opted out of their deals. They're still trying to figure that out. It's a big thing in the CBA because if you don't have this guaranteed revenue coming in, it makes it really hard for these owners to make decisions money-wise, which makes things hard. And another thing I think is crazy too is, I mean, it shouldn't surprise anyone, but just looking at the World Series odds on betting sites, the Dodgers right now are 2-1, which is already an insane for a baseball team. That is absurd. Even like 5-1 is pretty crazy for baseball. The second best team right now are the New York Yankees at 11-1.
And the Yankees.
It's insane how many the odds are. I mean, right now it's literally, do you want to take the Dodgers or do you want to take all 29 other teams? And I think a lot of people probably say the Dodgers, but even though it is still baseball, it's still baseball. You got to play 162. There's health. The Blue Jays were 2 outs away from winning the World Series and beating the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's really, really hard to three-peat. It's really hard to continuously win the way the Dodgers have been. Yeah, and we saw last year how many guys in the Dodgers, starting rotation missed time last year. But like right now, going into this year, as far as I know, Blake Snell, he's healthy. He will be back. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he's healthy. He was a dog at the end of the year. He'll be back. Tyler Glasnow, who's always kind of dealt with injury issues. As of right now, I think he's healthy and will be good to go for starting, opening day. They paid for him like 2 years ago for a 5-year deal. Shohei Ohtani, River Ryan was injured, and he was awesome when he was with Los Angeles. Emmett Sheehan, he was injured. He was awesome. And like these guys like Stone, Ryan, and Sheehan, they're they're on the back of their rotation. And they're guys that like, hey, we have 3 guys that we can throw out there for a 6-day start if we want to. The Dodgers have everything rolling right now. I think the only thing they really need is a left-handed reliever. And do they need it? No. But it's like just their area with most weakness, I would say.
Yeah, and even too, like, obviously they faced signing Diaz and Tucker. They've lost 4 draft picks and $1 million in international free agent money next year. And you can say, oh, you lose 4 draft picks. I think it's their second, third, fourth, and fifth round picks, I believe they've lost. And you could say, okay, that sucks for them. Yeah, they lost the draft picks there, but as you just said, they have such a surplus. The draft pick doesn't really matter to them that much because they can just trade guys who are already a clog, have no position, and then just get younger guys to pretty much take a draft pick spot. I mean, it's an absolute cheat code. Like, this is one of the best organization in baseball. I mean, this organization is so well. MLB Pipeline just put out the executives in MLB voted on who's the best farm system in baseball. They voted the Dodgers #1.
And last thing on the Dodgers, like being all the way up there right now, that on top of all of that, on top of everything we just said, who's on their roster right now, and how good do they do in the farm system? Right now, the Dodgers have 3 guys: Juaze De Paula, sorry, Jazu De Paula. I really butchered that. Zaire Hope and Eduardo Quintero. They're all outfielders. They're all 20 years old, and they're all top 100 prospects. And like that doesn't even include all their top 100 prospects that are in the league right now. They also have Alex Freeland, Mike Sirota, Jackson Ferris, who's another pitcher, Emil Morales. They got 7 guys in the top 100 of the MLB Pipeline's top 100 prospects. Like, they're just fine. If they want to go out there and make a deal to acquire someone at the deadline, they have the assets to do it as well. Insane what the Dodgers management and ownership has done. And you just have to, as much as people want to hate, you have to throw them credit where credit is due. It's just their time. Unfortunately, when it's like Tom Brady with the Patriots, it was just their time. It was their time to run. Let's talk about less depressing news to the rest of the baseball world. Let's talk about your Mets. Walk me through this Bo Bichette deal, and what do you think of the Mets after this? What do you think they got to do to continue adding after we talk through Bichette and the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, a really surprising deal was Bo Bichette today going to the Mets on $126 million for 3 years. I mean, obviously, it was a great pivot right away after losing on Tucker. You expect them to go get an outfielder. Like, I know Bellinger was the most common pivot people were thinking. Obviously, you go get Bo Bichette after that. And it surprised me a ton in there, especially because you had Brett Beatty to play third base for him. So now he's going to be playing some, because Bichette's going to play third base for the Mets. So you have an infield right now of Bichette at third, Lindor at short, Marcus Semien at second, and Jorge Polanco at first base. And obviously, Brett Beatty's kind of the odd man out there. I don't think that means he's going to get traded at all. I mean, Brett Beatty can play left field. The Mets said they expect him to do so. He can play second. He can play third. He can play first. He can DH as well, too. I mean, you can really just rotate that around. Obviously, you have older guys like Marcus Semien, who's not going to be able to play 162 games. He's just getting older now. I know Lindor's going to be playing every single day. Bo Bichette's had some injury history, so Brett Beatty's still going to be playing every single day. I still believe that, but I love this for the Mets. Obviously, this lineup is really damn good right now. I mean, I don't think it's crazy to say the Mets are already a better team than they were last year, and you lost Brandon Nimmo, Pete Alonso, Edwin Diaz. That's how good this deal makes the Mets here. And I mean, going forward too, I think this tells me the Mets really want to win, and it's not just, hey, we just want to just kind of be in the race. We want to be a true contender this year, and obviously not like the Dodgers all in that way. But I think the next moves going forward are, I think you need to get a center fielder here. Obviously, Carson Bench is going to slot in there. A lot of people think he's going to play center field. I'm under the belief I think the Mets want him in left field and then go get a center fielder. The one I want that isn't very common with on Mets fans is I want Luis Robert Jr. from the White Sox. I want them to get that done, add that in there, add some thump in that lineup. And then after that, I think you could probably acquire one more bullpen arm. Probably through trade, I would assume. And then I think they still need a frontline starting pitcher to pair with Nolan McClain at the front of the rotation. I mean, you have a bunch of guys who can be 4s or 5s in rotation for you. Like, that's the Mets. That's not. They have 8 guys who can go out there and pitch major league innings for you and be decent. They just don't have anyone. It goes Nolan McClain, Cliff, and then Clay Holmes. That's just the issue there. So I think whether it's a Mackenzie Gore and you figure out the second half issues with him, or if it's a Freddie Peralta, I mean, there's a lot of guys you could go out there and get for the starting pitcher. It just kind of comes down to who. And obviously, you have this infield figured out now, but a guy like Jet Williams who was projected to make the team this year, he has no spot now, so I would expect him to be moved. Maybe one of Sproat or Jonah Tong probably then move. Package them together, you can get yourself a pretty good starting pitcher.
Yeah, I know you don't want Framber, and I think he's going to go somewhere else, actually. We'll talk about it in a second, but Framber's out there, and he's going to command a lot of money, and the Mets are a team who needs a frontline starter, who have money, and they're obviously showing, like, from all the acquisitions, the Mets have actually added a lot this offseason. If you think about Devin Williams and Luke Weaver and now Bo Bichette, and like they were interested in Tucker, like they're all over the place trying to sign guys. So I would not be shocked if Framber Valdez ends up a New York Met here by the end of the week. I'll say that. Like, I know you don't want it, but it's looking more and more like a possibility every free agency signing we go through before Framber signs. What were you say?
I was gonna say, like, I obviously it's been mocked a lot. Like Mets and Orioles kind of be the main two this offseason for Framber. My thing is, like, obviously I know Framber Valdez is one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. Like, it's not why I don't want him. It's not like I think he's not a good pitcher and wouldn't be the perfect fit for the Mets because he is the perfect fit. It's just he has the qualifying offer, especially after signing a Bichette. Now you have to give up 2 more draft picks again, and I just think David Stearns is a guy where he's still building the system. I mean, half the farm system right now aren't even his guys. They were Billy Epler's guys under David Stearns' development. And it's a pretty damn good farm system. And I think Stearns has shown in his time in Milwaukee that he can build a top farm system in baseball and do so very well over and over and refill guys in there. So I think the draft picks just help him out a lot too, especially because with the Mets with their payroll and where they're at and the luxury tax, no matter where they're at every single year, their first round pick gets moved back 10 spots, which is a big hurt, especially because your overall your bonus pool to give to players goes down a lot, which hurts you on just getting guys. So that's my issue on Framber. I mean, like, I don't hate the player by any means. Like, I love the player Framber. I just don't like him for the taxes the Mets would pay on.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's a sound argument, a sound reasoning of why, as a fan, you don't want to add the services of Mr. Valdez there. We'll see. We'll talk about Framber again in a minute here, but what we got to talk about, there was a bunch of news that happened this week since our last conversation. Nolan Arenado, potential Hall of Fame, future Hall of Famer here. Nolan Arenado, he's moved from St. Louis to Arizona for a prospect named Justin Martinez, reliever. St. Louis will be paying $31 million of the remaining $42 million on Arenado's contract, which runs to the end of 2027. Hagen, I was honestly confused by this move. I know that the Diamondbacks, after moving on from Eugenio Suarez a few years ago, they were obviously in need of a third baseman to add to this lineup. And I just, I don't know. I felt like the Diamondbacks of all teams needed pitching. I was kind of a surprise that they're not only making a move for Nolan Arenado, but they're going to be paying, they're paying for, I guess the Cardinals are helping chip in for this a bit, but I don't know. What do you think about this deal?
I mean, it was expected that Arenado was going to get traded and they were going to have to eat some money. It was just a question of how much. And I think on the Diamondbacks, it did surprise me because I thought Arenado was going to go to a team like the Angels per se. Obviously, had the no trade clause, had to waive it. I believe he waived it for this. But I think for Arizona, like, obviously Arenado's not what he was anymore. I mean, he was a below average hitter last year. He's not the defender he is anymore. But you're only paying $11 million on for 2 years for a guy. I just think, like, why not? Add some veteran leadership into that clubhouse there. Obviously, they already have it, but it's not that much money for a guy like Arenado if he's a league average hitter, that's good money for him. Like, I mean, it was just kind of a shock. I thought they were going to go and try to go get like a Gino Suarez, sign him back. So I know they really liked him when he was there. Gino didn't want to get traded at the deadline. He wanted to stay in the Diamondbacks. So I thought they would go do that. Well, obviously, they didn't go get Arenado, but I mean, it's kind of a cost savings pick. I mean, it's not like they needed too much crazy offense. I mean, this offense last 2 years has been one of the best Major League Baseball very quietly. So I like it. I mean, it's not. Jordan Lawler puts him out of a spot again, and maybe they keep Arenado, and if he struggles, you give Jordan Lawler a shot.
My other thing was the Red Sox just missed out on Bregman. They needed a third baseman. They're not in the same league as the Cardinals, and they've already struck in 2 deals this offseason. As Chaim Bloom, he's a Boston guy, came from Boston, new regime in St. Louis. Why? One, do you think that Chaim Bloom made a phone call, or was there any conversation between Boston and Arenado? Arenado seems like a team that Arenado would have waived his no trade clause for. I feel I shouldn't even say I feel, the Boston farm system is just better than the Diamondbacks farm system right now. There's more guys in there that I would, especially, they have like 11 starters right now, Boston. And we're going to talk about that in a second too, with who they added this week. Why is Boston not getting a deal done with St. Louis on this? And number 2, I hate to bring it back to the Yankees, but I'm a Yankee fan, and there's a lot of Yankee fans who listen. So why are the Yankees, who needed a third baseman help as well, why are we not looking to like aggressively add Arenado for one of our pitching prospects or something like that. Like, I think there were starters and or other players in the Yankee system that are better than what the Diamondbacks gave up. And St. Louis is also kicking in a lot of cash for this. And like Boston and New York are both teams that have cash. It's really perplexing, this deal of like, why trade to a guy in the same league? Like, he's going to be in the National League. Why wouldn't you move him to the AL? I don't know.
I mean, I think on the Yankee sense, I believe Arenado, he had 5 teams that he said he would absolutely not go to. And I
And
believe the
Yankees are
Yankees are
one
one
of
of
them.
them.
Yeah.
So that's the Yankees part of it. In the Red Sox thing of it, I assume Chaim Bloom gave him a call, obviously, because that's his farm system pretty much that he has over there. He pretty much built the majority of that besides guys in the last 2 years. So he knows those guys well. He obviously wants those guys, especially the 2 deals, like you said, have gotten done so far this year. It wouldn't surprise me he made a call to them. But I think Craig Breslow honestly wants to go a little bit bigger there. I just think he wants the bigger bat. Obviously, they were in on Ketel Marte. They wanted him really bad. It was Brendan Donovan they wanted really bad. They're going to trade for Isak Paredes. I think they just kind of want more of a better bat there than an Arenado. Even though he is a fit just third base-wise, they need someone to fill that spot right now. I think they're going to swing bigger now, and obviously we're going to bring up here in a second, and you said before, they have like 10 starters right now. You can trade some of those young guys or even like a Brian Bayo and go get a pretty damn good player to play third base for you.
Yeah. I just felt there was more out there for Arenado's game. And then also, that being said, that means that the exec on the buying team for Arenado needs to believe in Arenado. And he's 34. Like, he's not a spring chicken. Um, he's not old in terms of the word old, but for baseball, he's older. And I just, who knows? Maybe there weren't as many offers out there for him as I would have thought. Maybe, he didn't have a great year last year. So who knows? But this trade finally happened. Arenado said he was a little shocked, and it makes sense. This has been talked about for 2 years that he was potentially going to get traded, and they finally, bring down the hammer on this one. So good for Arizona adding to their lineup here. And this Justin Martinez kid, we'll see how the prospect pays out. But St. Louis, I feel they could have gotten more in return for Arenado than what they did in this deal.
I will say real quick before I move on, I just got to shout out Katie Woo from The Athletic who broke this deal. She was obviously the Cardinals beat writer for The Athletic for a very long time before this offseason jumped over as the Dodgers athletic writer now. She broke the deal. She put a lot of great coverage out on there, and she did know as well, where it's been kind of 2 years now they've been trying to trade him, and she noted that Arenado kind of felt he was blocking spots for young guys and guys of the future of the Cardinals because he knew, hey, I'm getting older. I'm not part of their future plans here, and I feel like I'm just kind of blocking a spot, and just that's interesting both parties to leave. So shout out to Katie Woo on her coverage on that.
Do you think she had like one draft for Arenado trade to any team except for the 5 off his like, not, I'm definitely not going there, and just like, I'll work from there once it happens?
For how quick these guys get their articles out there, it would not surprise me one bit if she already had drafts for a few teams.
Not at all. Well, we keep hinting at talking about Boston. They're 1,000,001 starters now. So they add on a 5-year, $130 million deal, Ranger Suarez from Philadelphia. I'm not going to say this was not, unseeable. Like this could have been predicted by some people. I personally, with what they already had in the rotation and the fact that the Red Sox already went out and traded for Sonny Gray. They have Garrett Crochet. Bello has, had a great year. Connolly early looks really impressive. Tanner Houck, Peyton Toll's a top 10 lefty prospect thrower as well. So the Red Sox have 2, by the way, of the top 10 lefties in the prospect world. Connolly early and Peyton Toll right now. I'm not sure on the health and status of Cutter Crawford, Patrick Sandoval, and Kyle Harrison, but those are all guys who've seen success in this league. Patrick Sandoval had his ups and downs with the Angels before he moved over. Cutter Crawford, I think he dealt with an injury for a little bit last year, if I remember that right. And then Kyle Harrison, I believe he came from the Giants and had some success there as well. So one of the guys I talk with in my baseball here group me, big Red Sox fan. And he's like, I feel like the Red Sox have Garrett Crochet and then they have 7 number 3 starters. And I was like, that's not a bad way to look at it. So Red Sox, they're obviously they're confident in their bats. It looks like. I don't know if they moved Durant at this point. Like, why you don't need to move him for pitching, or at least not starting pitching. Maybe if you want to clear some cap space, but with Roman Anthony, Durant, Trevor Story, and all these pitchers, and then you got Chapman in the pen. What do you think about the Red Sox right now? What they're doing?
On the Ranger Suarez deal, I think I didn't see it coming, but obviously it shouldn't have shocked me a little bit. Obviously, the main knock against Ranger this offseason was this is a guy whose fastball velocity 2 years ago was 93 miles an hour, and it's gone downhill 2 years in a row. And he's down to 91 miles an hour, and he's getting old. He's for 5 years. Is it going to be 88 miles an hour by the end of the deal? Which is kind of a scary thing to give his pitcher $130 million for that. But the Red Sox are kind of known for always lowering that fastball usage and finding other pitches there, mixing things in there and doing that well. So it shouldn't shock me on that front, but I think it's a good bolster the rotation there because now you have, like, in a playoff series, you have Garrett Crochet, the third best pitcher on earth, clearly. Like, there's no debate on that. And then you have Ranger Suarez and Sonny Gray, games 2 and 3 for you. I mean, that's a great 1, 2, 3 for you. And obviously you have a lot of the depth too, as you mentioned, they have all there. But what I think they're going to do here is you look at the starting pitching depth. You have a guy like Brian Bayo right now, who kind of, for me at first, didn't seem like anyone who would have gotten traded. I would have thought the Peyton Tolles or the Connerly Earlys, who a lot of teams have really, really wanted this offseason. They wanted those young guys. I think Breslow really wants to keep them. I think Bayo could be the one that gets moved here. As crazy as that sounds, especially when that team-friendly deal he's on. It's not a bad contract by any means, but he's just kind of a forward. I mean, you kind of know what Brian Bayo is going to do for you. But there was Jen McCaffrey from The Athletic. She wrote an article that it kind of slipped through the cracks, and I haven't seen anyone really talk about that. Breslow quietly shopped Brian Bayo this offseason, at the beginning of the offseason. He was shopping Bayo around the teams to see interest in on him, see what he could get for him. So he's already been looking to move him a little bit. He obviously has not shown any willingness to trade any of his young guys, especially if he wouldn't give him up for a Ketel Marte. I don't see him giving up for anything else. So I think you could trade from the starting pitching depth to go get that second baseman, third baseman, whatever you need there. Marcel Meyer could play the other position that the other guy doesn't, and go get that. Or you could go the Jaron Duran route. Or I would assume that's the way there, especially because Willie Abreu, I believe, has 4 or 5 years of control still. And it's just cheap, too. And Duran's just starting to get a little bit expensive. He's going to be making around $14 million in the following season. So it's going to be expensive for a team that doesn't really like to go into the luxury tax. And they're already $20 million over the luxury tax right now. So trading away from these starters could help lower that money a little bit to save you guys from the tax a little bit. And then also fill another need. So I think they're done free agency-wise. They signed their one free agent and they're done. I think they're just going to continue on the trade route here.
Yeah, and I forgot because it happened this offseason, but they also acquired Wilson Contreras from the Cardinals as well this year. Like they're set at first, they're set at short, they're set in the outfield pretty much, and like DH, they're kind of stuck with Yoshida getting some at bats there because of the contract. I think they're going to just continue adding to the bullpen, and like you just said, maybe another second, third base utility guy somewhere, depending on what the money looks like. I don't know. I think the Red Sox are really preparing their rotation for the worst in case guys go down, and I think it's smart. And they're also going to be able to move some of these younger pitchers at the deadline if they need to go for a certain position, if they need an impact bat at the deadline. And there's I'm not looking at it now, but someone who has like an expiring contract and they, someone's looking to offload some payroll at the deadline. So we'll see. We shall see. The one big deal that I want to take away from this, and this is, without mentioning, I'll mention this first, then we'll talk about the badness. So this is the last thing of the hot corner. I think Philly's in trouble. I really do. I think that the Ranger Suarez deal, piggybacking off that to Boston, I was looking at, I was like, oh my God, the Philadelphia Phillies right now, they're the Mets last year. They're just going to run out of starting pitchers. Like last year at the end of the year, the Mets were relying on 3 young guys to throw a lot of innings, and important innings at the end of the year. Philadelphia rotation right now, after they just lost, they just lost Ranger Suarez. They got Zach Wheeler, status very much up in the air. Christopher Sanchez, really good. Aaron Nola, getting older. Jesus Luzardo. Luzardo's been in this league forever. We know what Luzardo is at this point. He's got talent, but is he going to throw you 250 innings of excellent baseball? He's going to have his ups and downs. They got to rely on Andrew Painter, who's a highly touted prospect who, last year spent half the year still coming off his Tommy John. And when he came back, he was fine, but being in minor leagues and being in a pro are 2 different things. So they got 4 pitchers right now. Hagen, and that I guess they have T1 Walker as well. This is the team I think needs the services of Valdez the most. do we see Philly make a move to go get Framber Valdez and secure some innings here?
That was kind of especially after they missed out on Bo Bichette because obviously you felt like Bo Bichette was going to be a Philly for the last week or so. I mean, I have a Philly friend talking to him. Me and him both kind of just like, oh yeah, Bo Bichette's a Philly. Kind of chalked it up like that. And it was even reported last night that Bo Bichette's camp asked the Phillies, can you give us $200 million over 7 years? And the Phillies said yes. And the Phillies thought they had Bo Bichette. And they wake up this morning and they say he signed with the Mets. So that was kind of worst case scenario there. Obviously, we'll get to what they did pivot to start the pivot wise. But now you miss out on Bo Bichette. And it's like, all right, yeah. I think it was like, yeah, go spend the money on a pitcher now. You can roll out Bohm and Stott there at second and third base still. Then you get this, like I said, Wheeler. You don't know what you're going to get from him, really. Christopher Sanchez, top 10 pitcher in the world. Yes. Jesus Alardo, really good pitcher. Yeah. Nola, you have to rely on a bounce back there. And Philly fans, I think, believe that he can do that. Even if you look at his underlying metrics, he's not as bad as he was last year. But then you get to like a Painter who ran out of steam last year. I mean, had some great people who put out some great numbers on him, and they've shown that like his velo was just going down, and his pitcher matches were getting worse throughout the season was going on. First time coming off Tommy John, obviously, just kind of seemed tired. And even their manager even said that too. And then the issue is then you have like Taijuan Walker. Right now you have 150 innings of Taijuan Walker. I mean, I like Taijuan Walker, the dude, but if that dude's throwing more than 70 innings, that's awful. You don't want that guy doing that. So Framber Valdez would be a perfect fit for the Phillies if they do want to spend the money on that. I don't know their payroll situation if they're going to be able to do that right now. But I think I would assume they're going to go out there and at least get a starter. There's some reports saying might be done, but even if it's like a Chris Bassett, a Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, someone to kind of fill the spot so you don't have to have Taijuan Walker pitch 25 starts for you.
Yeah, it just seems very lackluster, this rotation. Like, it was like, oh my goodness, beginning of last year, the very beginning of 2025, Philly's rotation is disgusting. And now it's like a year later, it's like, holy shit, they're going to have some depth issues, and it's a big question mark of how it's going to look. And that's the funny thing about baseball. Things can change very quickly. So they definitely need to add. Especially if they plan to contend. Because like in my head, I'm looking at it like, dude, the Marlins have been fleecing one team after another. They're going to be very competitive, and it might not be their year this year to make the playoffs, but they're damn near close, and they've acquired so many prospects in their top 30 this offseason. You got the Mets. The Mets have been adding like crazy. The Braves and the Mets farm system, don't let me forget, is really deep. I think there's a lot of players in the Mets farm system right now that could help this team out if they need to call someone up. And then you got the Braves who, yes, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. They're back-to-back years of disappointing baseball. I don't think there's going to be a third year in a row of disappointing Atlanta Brave baseball. I think they're going to come back with a vengeance. They made a lot of the smart decisions this offseason and not go get the big star like Bo Bichette. But hey, let's go get Robert Suarez. Let's lock down the 8th inning. We already got our 9th inning guy. Let's go get this outfielder. Let's go pair him with Acuna and Olsen and Riley and Albies. Like, they just look like they're going to be good. I don't doubt the Atlanta Braves, even with the last 2 years and the results. They got Schwellenbach, Strider, Chris Sale. Like that's a good rotation. And that leaves the Nationals, who, people have high hopes for them. I'm out on the Nationals. So, Hagen, I think Philly is doomed for maybe 3rd or 4th place this year in the division if they don't get Framber. I'm going to be really concerned for their pitching overall, because they lose one guy. If Christopher Sanchez goes down, holy shit, that's a bad rotation now. It's that crazy.
I mean, yeah, it's just kind of crazy. I mean, like you said, beginning. I think beginning of the year, middle off season, or middle of the year on All-Star break, we were debating this as the best rotation in baseball. And now you need someone else in there now to help fill some innings in there. And like you're saying, it's not crazy. It's not a hot take at all to say the Phillies are going to finish 4th in the division, because the Marlins are really, really good. Peter Bendix is cooking with that team right now, and obviously we saw them up to the final week in the season be in the playoff race. And I think what's just crazy to me is if you would have even said at this time yesterday, at 3:52 Mountain Time, Thursday, January 15th, if you would have told me the Mets would be a better team than they were last year and the Phillies would be a worse team than they were last year, you would have been like, what are you talking about? But the Phillies, what if they really added? Brad Keller is really the only addition they've made to this team. Obviously, we're not sure, but for a core that's already aging and people view as their window is getting very, very short here because the guys are aging, all they added was Brad Keller. and all the other guys are getting a year older. And Zach Wheeler is, you don't know what you're going to get out of him. That's just kind of crazy. I mean, this Philly team, their window is very, very short now. It's a bunch of old guys they're paying a lot of money to. You don't got, in like 3 years, the Phillies' window is closed.
I agree. I don't think it's even 3 years. I think it's 2.
You could argue 2 for sure. I mean, 3 was being very generous.
Like, Schwarber is older than people think. Real Muto is how old? 33?
He's going to be 36 next year?
36?
35 or 36?
I thought he was actually 34. I was trying to be generous and say 33.
He'll be 35 this year, sorry.
Yeah, he just signed a 3-year deal. Like, yeah, I just think that the Philadelphia is going to have to hit a major reset because I'm not really stoked about. If I'm a Philly fan, sure, they got Andrew Painter, they got maybe a couple other prospects you're excited about, but like they don't look like they have a deep system, and I would not be like they need to make some new contracts and sign some new guys here if this does not work. Let's talk about that deal that we mentioned that happened right as the Kyle Tucker news, like it happened right after, and it got virtually no love because it's big players, guys we know were in this deal, and it was with 3 teams that are obviously, on the outside looking in terms of World Series hopes. So Angels, they're continuing to add, which kudos to the Angels. We love that. Tampa Bay Rays, they're always frisky with the moves they make. And then finally the Reds are they're a well-run organization. Are they the best organization? No, but they are a sound organization. They try to compete. And the deal was here. Angels acquired Josh Lowe from Tampa, who Tampa received Gavin Lux from the Reds and a minor league right-hander, Chris Clark, from the Angels. The Reds acquired left-handed reliever Brock Burke from the Angels. So the Reds get a reliever, the Rays get a Gavin Lux and a minor leaguer, and then they give up Josh Lowe to the Angels. Josh Lowe, I want to say, is the best player in this deal. Any thoughts on Tampa Bay kind of selling Lowe on the cheap? I say that because he had such a strong 2023 campaign, and then injuries in like between hip and his oblique in the last year and a half really turned around his performance. I like Josh Lowe. I have him in a dynasty league, so I was kind of shocked to see him move. But any big thoughts on this move?
I mean, my 2 kind of main takeaways here, obviously Rays fans from what I've seen were pretty happy that Josh Lowe was gone. They were a little upset that he was going to go out there and get 500 plate appearances. They've just they know he can be a good player. Obviously, we saw 2023, but like it's been 3 years at this point, and he's just been hurt. He hasn't been good when he's on the field. He just hasn't been good. So they just kind of want to move off that. And the thing with the Reds, too, getting Gavin Lux out of the way. Like, obviously, you trade Gavin Lux. You had him for a year. Discuss Baseball Sam, he made this post yesterday, which I actually love this. I didn't think about this. Is the Reds traded Mike Sirota and a comp pick for 1 year of Gavin Lux, who put a .3 WAR. Like, that is an awful deal. That is an awful deal for Nick Krall, the GM for the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, that is one that does not make you look very good.
There's Mike Sirota and who for Gavin Lux?
In a comp pick.
And Mike Sirota is now looking like an awesome prospect for the Dodgers.
Yeah. I mean, even if it was Mike Sirota alone, that wouldn't have been a good deal. And then you add in the comp pick.
I feel like these teams need to get together. Like all these bottom dweller teams, like the bottom 14 teams in the league need to like sign a petition like, hey, we're not going to trade with Tampa, Milwaukee, or Los Angeles anymore. They're just off limits because they're going to fleece us. Like,
I mean,
I feel like
it really goes back to the title too. Like the Dodgers are inevitable. The Dodgers had an influx last year. They had nowhere for Gavin Lux to play. You trade him, and then you win the trade. You just make your farm system even better, get a draft pick with it. The year before that, it was Michael Busch. They did Michael Busch, too. They had nowhere to play for Michael Busch. Yes, Michael Busch was one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball. That one
Michael
sucks,
Busch
like,
worked out for Chicago.
That one worked, but like you still got Zaire Hope, who's probably a top 50 prospect in baseball. Like they're trading away from the surplus they have. Like Michael Busch, think of how good Michael Busch is. He's not playing on the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani is your DH. You can't play DH. You can only play first base. Freddie Freeman to first base, but he had nowhere to play. You get 2 top 100 prospects for him in return. It's just insane what the Dodgers are doing right now. I mean, it's literally a cheat code, this organization.
So, by the way, Zaire Hope is the 20th ranked prospect in all of baseball. And that doesn't include, I'm pretty sure Jackson Ferris was a part of this deal with Zaire Hope. And Jackson Ferris Jackson Ferris is by the way, Mike Schroeder is the 64th ranked overall prospect. I think Jackson Ferris is a top 100 guy, unless he was injured. Yeah, he's number 98 now. So he moved down the list because of his injury last year. But Jackson Ferris, people have very high hopes for. So don't, if any GMs are listening, which I know they're not, don't trade with Tampa, Milwaukee, or the Los Angeles Dodgers anymore because you will get burnt. You play with matches, you're going to get burnt. Well, let's keep moving. We're already 40 minutes in. Oh, my goodness. So the Yankees, I'll take this one. They add rotational depth to Ryan Weathers. Miami, this is a deal where they acquire more prospects. The Dylan Lewis, now moved from the Yankees to the Miami Marlins, will be the 14th ranked player in their system. Brendan Jones will be the 15th ranked player in their system. They also add Dylan Jasso and Juan Mathias, all for Ryan Weathers. And Ryan Weathers last year for the Miami Marlins had a sub-4 ERA through 8 starts, 38 innings pitched, 37 strikeouts, and a 1.28 WHIP. I think he'll be good back end of the rotation star for the Yankees. And you look at the Yankees rotation now, it's going to be Fried, Cam Schlittler, Will Warren, Ryan Weathers, Luis Gil. And that's not including, Garrett Cole and Rodon, who are going to not be able to start the season with the team. They're going to be on the IL. And Clark Schmidt, who, he very real chance he misses the entire year after undergoing Tommy John back in July. So I like this move. I don't think the Yankees gave up a whole lot, and they're adding a guy who's going to get some quality innings for them at the back end of the rotation while they're trying to, survive the storm of no Rodon, no Garrett Cole. Anything from you on that deal? I think it's a nice little deal for the Yankees. And Miami got better.
Miami has the pitching depth right now. They have 3 top 100 pitching prospects, 3 really good pitching prospects that are ready to fill in whenever. So you deal Edward Cabrera, you deal Ryan Weathers now, and you kind of just deal from your surplus there. You don't really need him at that point. And the thing with Ryan Weathers, I really like it for the Yankees. I think it's a great ad. It makes sure a guy like Ryan Yarbrough doesn't have to go out there and start 15 games until Garrett Cole or Carlos Rodon comes back for you, which is huge. And obviously, that puts less of stress on a Luis Gil, for instance. And I really like this for the Yankees. Obviously, you get there. The only issue with Ryan Weathers, I think he's a great pitcher, too. I think he's made some changes last year, too, which was kind of sucks to see his injuries hurt his season. But if he stays healthy, this is a great deal. The Yankees had to bet on health on here. If he's healthy, it's great. His injury history has just kind of derailed his career a little bit. I think it's why his ERA is a little bit inflated, too, because you don't have much time. 30 innings as a starting pitcher, you can't really get your season going or make it good or bad in one way. If you're working on stuff early on in the season, you can't really get going, really. So I think that's if you can stay healthy, I love this deal for the Yankees. But either way, I like the shot they took there. And even John Heyman put out a report today, too. They even reached out on Freddie Peralta this morning, and they're still looking to add to this rotation. If you add this rotation now and you get Freddie Peralta, that rotation is pretty scary.
Yeah, I'm just scared of who the Yankees would have to give up to get Peralta. I think that the Brewers are going to command a lot. A lot of people are going to be in on Peralta. And I just don't want to see the Yankees give up Spencer Jones or something like that. I don't know how Spencer Jones is going to be, but I think he has too much question marks as well to move him at this point. You kind of want to at least get a little taste of him as a Yankee rather than moving him before he really hits strike. Because if he figures it out, he's good for 25, 30 home runs a year in Major League Baseball. Cincinnati, though, they add Pierce Johnson, former Brave, to the bullpen on a 1-year, $6.5 million deal. It includes a mutual option for 2027. NL Central continued. The Pittsburgh Pirates, they strike a deal with Philly. So the Phillies get Chase Sugart, who had a 3.4 ERA over 34 appearances last year for the Pirates. And the Pirates get infielder Francisco Loreto. Any takeaway from this deal?
I got nothing at all. I didn't even know who these two guys were.
Well, I knew Pierce Johnson. I know Chase Sugart just because I picked him up for a couple holds last year. But it's a nice little deal for Philly, adding him into the mix with Juan Duran, Orion Kirkring, Brad Keller. I think Philly's, by the way, bullpen is really good. It's the rotation I have an issue with. And the rotations are what makes or breaks your regular season, because if you're throwing out guys who can't get 5 innings every day,
you're 2025 New York Mets, perfect example.
Yeah, you're going to lose. You're going to tire out your bullpen, and then you're just going to lose games. It's inevitable. We're using that word a lot today. Tampa Bay and Atlanta, they strike a deal. Rays get Brett Wisely and Ken Waldachuk. Braves get a player to be named or cash considerations. Blue Jays get a minor league deal done with Eloy Jimenez that includes an invite to spring training. Eloy is one of my guys, Hagen. So I like, as much as I hate the Blue Jays, I'm so rooting for Eloy Jimenez. Like, I've liked him since when he got originally called up by the White Sox. So any hope here? Or do you think this is just literally a gamble flyer for Toronto?
I mean, I think it's just a gamble flyer. We've seen him kind of move around. I think it was in Tampa a little bit last year. There was a few other teams kind of gotten passed around the last 2 years. But, I mean, who needs Kyle Tucker when you got Eloy Jimenez? I mean, it could work out pretty well for you.
Kyle Tucker that should have been the name of the episode. Who needs Kyle Tucker when you have Eloy Jimenez? Oh, that's good. That's good. Rockies, they add Willie Castro, so that's the end of his career. They'll get the utility infielder on a 2-year free agent deal. So honestly, it's a nice little addition for Colorado. They anything that of a proven player helps them, and this guy was an all-star 2 years ago. So we'll do that. The club has not confirmed the move yet. World Baseball Classic, Byron Buxton added to the USA roster. Hot take, why? You're injured all the time, and now you're gonna, I know you want to play for Team USA, and I can't say I understand it because I'll never be put in a position to represent the United States in anything in my life besides being like a citizen. And like when I'm in a foreign country, that's about the only representation of the USA I'll have. Byron Buxton, you just had your healthiest season in God knows how long. You are injury prone. And I love you. I do. I love you as a player. I don't get it, especially because the USA's team is so loaded already. And like, they just added Kershaw and Bregman that they're going to both play as well. Like, we're going to see Clayton Kershaw again. Awesome. But Buxton, if I'm a Twins fan, I feel like I'm pretty annoyed about this. No?
I mean, it's hard because obviously Mark DeRosa tries to put it out there to clubs. The manager of Team USA tries to tell, especially on the pitching side, it's a little bit different hitters where he's like, we're not going to do anything different than what these guys will be doing in spring training because they have a week or two of spring training and then this starts. But obviously, you're kind of going for you obviously more than off season, but then you start playing baseball again. You play 5 games and you're playing 3 innings because it's spring training, and then it's 100% go. Then it's 100% go. You're in the World Baseball Classic, so it's kind of hard. Luckily, the team is so good. You're not having to play every single day. Like a guy like Buxton, he's not like a judge where he's going to be lined up every single day. You can get there, maybe a pinch hit one day, do all this. So it is a little scary, though, when you have guys with injury history playing in this. But on the Clayton Kershaw move, I think that's awesome. I mean, we get to watch Clayton Kershaw play baseball again and representing his country. I mean, you have the jersey behind me, man. I'm excited to watch Clayton Kershaw again. They need another lefty in the pen, too, so he filled the spot. I love seeing Clayton Kershaw in there.
Yeah, I do. And like, I don't know why maybe Kershaw saw the opportunity. He's like, yo, I ended my MLB career with the World Series and now USA is stacked and I could end it with a gold medal. Like, I'm just going to go for it. And like, I don't hate it. That's awesome.
What does he have to lose if he gets hurt too? He's got nothing to lose.
He's got nothing to lose. And also, it wasn't like Kershaw wasn't an effective pitcher at the end of his career too. Like Kershaw ended, in my opinion, has ended way more gracefully than Verlander and Scherzer, like in terms of where he called him to quit and what, effectiveness level he has on the game at that professional level. So that's news for the WBC. They continue to add to that already juggernaut of a roster. Kansas City Royals, they're moving their fences in. So the Royals finished 27th of 30 teams last year in home runs. They only hit 70 at home last year. So I shouldn't say they only, but that's less than a home run per game while at home. And I feel like that's, I don't know, it's not that low, but it feels low, does it not? Because you play 82 games at home, right? No, you play 81 at home. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really shocked me like how low their home run total was last year. I knew that was a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. And I love this too because anytime the analytics department makes a headline on what their moves they did, I absolutely love it. And obviously, moving the walls in, it's just kind of awesome too because it benefits these hitters there. Obviously, their offense has kind of been a little bit of a struggle for them recently, especially in the playoffs. I mean, when you see home runs or win games most of the time in the playoffs, typically in the last 5 years or so, the team who hits more home runs in the game wins the game. I believe it's like a 63% win percentage, something like that. So you need to hit home runs. and the Royals are just helping these guys out there. I mean, I overlaid Bobby Witt's just all his spray chart of everything at home, all his outs, his doubles, his triples, all that, and just saw how many home runs last year if the fences were in 10 feet would he hit. And he hit 11 home runs at home last year. If he would have had these fences last year, he would have hit around 20 to 25 home runs. I mean, that's how big of a difference it is. I mean, talking about Bobby Witt being a 35, 40 home run guy, possibly with this difference. It's really cool. It's really cool to see the Royals do this.
Oh, I'm investing in Vinny P everywhere in fantasy, anywhere and everywhere. The walls are coming in on the left and right field about 10 feet, and they're being lowered 18 inches, basically everywhere. So it's not going to become Yankee Stadium necessarily, but this is a big difference for this team who gets to play at this stadium 81 times a year. And finally, last takes from me, MLB labor deal. I don't really have a lot to comment on it, but it seems like players want to get their deals done now before they go into this. And that's why maybe Kyle Tucker was like, F it, $60 million a year, 4 years, and I get opt-outs after years 2 and 3. It makes sense why Kyle Tucker got a deal done and rushed it, because he could have waited. He could have waited longer, and more teams would have waited on him. Do you have any strong takes on the labor deal, or are we good to exit out for the day?
I think if I went my strong takes on labor deal, I think I would probably go for an hour straight.
Yeah,
so I'll save that for another episode.
Okay, we'll save it and we'll construct how we want to phrase that. But it's coming up, the labor deal, and you see guys signing deals here. I just think here at the end, final stretch, where like your final big players of free agents left, I think they're all going to ultimately end up signing here sooner rather than later, not just because the season's approaching, but I think they just see the writing on the wall that big change is coming to the way that teams are going to pay players. And people are talking about a salary cap. People are talking about a salary minimum. Like, we don't know what's going to happen, but there's going to be a lot of implications on these players and their deals financially. So we'll talk about that in a future episode. That's it from me, though. Hagen, you got anything else before we let people jump and enjoy their Friday night?
I think I'm good. Just watch football this weekend. I mean, obviously we got the offseason moves. I said at the beginning, the last episode we had is we've had the football. We hadn't had the MLB deals yet happen. Now we got both at once. I mean, this is an awesome time to be a sports fan.
Yeah, I'm kind of I'm in a weird predicament.
Unless you're a Packers fan.
Yeah, and also my girlfriend went to IU's and I went to Purdue, so I have to freaking hear about IU football right now until that's over. And it looks like they're going to win a title on Monday. So outside of that, be well. Thank you for listening. Go check out the shop for merchandise. Go check out our new blogs and articles. Some top 10 lists of positions are coming out. I know Dean and James have been putting theirs out all week. Dean said if I don't put mine out this week, that we can't go live anymore. So I'm going to get it done. I've been procrastinating. I've been a bad boy in terms of blogs, and I apologize. Work's just been nuts. It's no excuse, but it's something. Outside of that, bye.